You find yourself lost in Irvingland. We seem to have fallen back into the rut of featuring Dr. Smith, Will Robinson, and the robot to the exclusion of everyone else. Today, they're wandering somewhere, exploring the current planet they're on, when Will suggests turning back.
We shall never discover the wonders of the universe sitting at camp beside the Jupiter. We must strike out boldly in all directions. First, I simply must have a bit of a rest.
He fell on that stick quite boldly, I have to give him that. There's a cave in there that appears artificial. Will says, let's go take a look.
William, I think it's time we return to camp.
Aren't we even going to go inside and look around?
Certainly not. We don't know what's in there.
But you said we were going to be space explorers, brave and fearless space explorers.
One of the few times we'll see Will call Smith on his Hassenpfeffer. Of course, big brave space explorer Zachary Smith will rise to the challenge.
William, I wouldn't dream of depriving you of the thrill of discovery. Why don't you go inside and then you can tell me what you found?
Okay.
No, Will Robinson. My sensors compute danger in there.
And if you believed what I said about Smith, I have a bridge in New York that may interest you. I'll sell it cheap. Before Smith knows what happened, Will and the robot have both vanished into the cave. But before he can act, Will comes rushing out again.
Wait till you see what's in there. I'm going to go get Dad and bring him back.
William, you come back here this instant and tell me what you found inside that cave. Indeed. He seems in a great hurry to tell the others. There must be something very valuable in there.
Of course, that's the first thing he'd think. He still hasn't figured out that his definition of value and everyone else's are two different things. His definition serves greed, theirs serves utility. It looks like a people factory.
It's all so bright and shiny.
Do not activate controls. I compute danger.
Never fear, Smith is here. What possible harm could there be in pressing a little button?
Remember the android machine? Remember the cosmic vending machine? Remember the delivery vehicle you used to start a war with Earth? Remember all the other times you screwed around with buttons and switches and it resulted in disaster? Obviously he doesn't, because against all the robot's warnings, as usual, he starts twiddling. He hasn't moved up to frobnicating yet. That'll come when he has a bigger audience.
For those who are unfamiliar with the term, there are 3 levels to adjusting electronic controls. If the setting is nearly correct and only requires very slight modification, that is called tweaking. If the setting is very rough and one is having difficulty finding the right spot, that is called twiddling. If one is flipping switches and turning knobs because it is fun to do, that is called frobnicating, or frobbing for short. This appears to be the only level with which our dear doctor is familiar.
I was not expecting that, but thank you. By the time Will returns with his dad, Smith has already built something. Or more precisely, he twiddled around until something happened and the machine built something. How it builds something is, well, you decide. It looks like we're making cookies. My mistake, we're making a very large loaf of bread. It is a people factory. A couple more steps to pad out the runtime and we have the finished product.
Come in, sir. Just a moment. You don't seem to understand. I made you. I am your master. That is to say, I am your friend.
Come on, Doctor. Surely you've read Frankenstein. Your creation doesn't owe you anything and can turn against you if he wants to. While the robot wrestles with this thing, Smith does what he does best, stand around and talk.
Why don't you come here and help?
Hit him! Or something! Hit him!
That's something I've wondered on occasion. If the robot gets knocked over, can he get back up? I have my answer, no. He'll lie there unable to do anything until someone comes along and picks him up. I spy with my little eye something that starts with design flaw. Smith leads the critter a merry chase until he gets to the ship. At the ship, John and Don are testing a thing.
Now, you all set?
An electronic invisibility cloak, except it makes things invisible permanently because it disintegrates them. They need this because...
Dad! Have I got something to tell you?
All right, now, where's Smith and the robot?
Back at the cave, I guess.
What cave?
That's just what I was about to tell you.
Here we go again. Stop interrupting him and let the boy talk and you might learn something. While Will is explaining, Smith is panicking.
Help! Help me! It's trying to kill me! Professor, don't let it harm me.
Well, it's not human, and it's not an android. What is it?
I don't know. I just pressed the buttons and made it.
You made it?
Yes.
Maureen, get everyone back into the ship. Quietly, don't startle it, just move smoothly.
No, they won't follow up on the fact that once again he chose to screw around with an unfamiliar machine and put everyone in danger. He'll get away with it as usual. Some days I think facing the consequences of one's actions is a thing of the past.
Consider that switch!
Now that that's taken care of, Lucy has some splaining to do.
You're gonna have to tell us what happened to the robot, Smith.
I've told you before, he probably just wandered off somewhere.
What's happened to him, Smith?
I wouldn't know. I'm not his keeper.
Where is he?
Really? Anyone would think that that pusillanimous pinhead is more important to you than I am.
You wouldn't want me to answer that now, would you?
Cease and desist, Major. I know nothing of this matter.
All right, then. Have it your way. As of now, you are confined to quarters till the robot returns.
As if. Unless you chain him to a railing somewhere, he's not going to obey that. What I don't get is why Smith is lying. He couldn't do anything to help the robot wrestle that thing. If the robot's strength couldn't stop it, what do they expect Sir Wimp-a-Lot Smith to do? So he has no reason not to tell them what happened to it. It's just his automatic nature to lie, even if it's not necessary. He slips out while John and Don are at the table doing a bunch of math stuff, and you can't blame them for not hearing him leave. Math takes everything I have, too. So where's he going? Back to the cave where he built the thing that tried to kill him, of course.
Can you hear me, dear old friend? Can you hear me? Oh, please. Please get up. You bubble-headed booby. You got me into this frightful predicament. Get up! Get up, you hear? Get up!
I'm reasonably certain that some of that equipment made its way into Willy Wonka's factory.
Oh, good heavens. What have I done?
Pick up the tray and toss it on the floor.
Oh, I do hope nothing serious will happen.
Pick up the dough and put it somewhere else. Push it off the belt onto the floor. Go over to the panel and find the off button. Do anything. No, he'll just stand there and watch again, whining all the way. When it's done, it'll come after him and he'll scream and cry and talk 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 and talk.
Stay back! No! Conditioned reflex system. Obedience. He appears to be afraid of me, I think.
Command. All your orders will be obeyed.
That's a dangerous thing to say to Dr. Smith. The first thing he'll have his new slave do is set the robot upright.
Thank you, but no. A third dessert is really going too far. Not too bad, you know, not too bad. Mind you, the sauce for the Coquille Saint-Jacques could have been the slightest bit richer, and the Chateaubriand the slightest bit juicier, but all things considered, not too bad.
He could use these things to work on the ship. They could help move stuff around. They could make a great defense against hostile aliens. Smith uses them to indulge himself. And where did all that stuff come from? Did the machine make the chef hat? How much dough did that take? Smith is rather proud of himself, but the robot is giving him the silent treatment.
I know you're all beaten and battered, but you can hear me, and I know that you've seen all these things with your own scanners, haven't you? It just occurs to me, my dear old friend, these wonderful, brilliant creatures of mine make of you an obsolete piece of scrap metal. What do you say to that?
They are just mindless cyborgs, Dr. Smith.
However, as we know, Smith can get a rise out of anybody. Still, he's not satisfied with what he has. People like him never are.
Try the controls that are marked X. The variety there is better. You will turn out a much higher quality product.
Why, thank you. How very nice. Thank you.
Higher quality in what way? Might be good to ask about that. Professor Robinson decided to wait until morning to go look for Smith and the robot, but as usual, Will can't wait that long. He sneaks out. I want somebody to explain to me why they can't put a lock on that door.
Dr. Smith! Dr. Smith, boy, am I glad to see you. We've got to get out of here. There are these
If nothing else, a lock might keep those out.
William! Shouldn't you be back in bed, back at Jupiter?
Is that really you, Dr. Smith?
Well, of course it is. And a good thing for you, too. If one of my subjects had gotten to you first, it could have been very unfortunate.
Subjects?
Yes, the first of a hardy band of conquerors who will soon control the universe. For me, their leader.
It might keep that out, too. Why does anybody want to conquer the world, never mind the universe? You conquer it. Then what? What do you do after you become supreme leader of the whatever? If you take over the universe, do you have any idea the mountain of paperwork you're going to be buried in? Administering an empire is a big job, and it requires, what's that dirty four-letter word that Smith avoids like the plague? Oh yeah, work! Not to mention, you take somebody over by force and they hate you and constantly try to throw off your yoke, so you have revolts all over a kabillion galaxies. How are you going to handle that, Mr. Laziest Man in the Universe? You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Have them make you a replica of the crown jewels or something and be satisfied with that. Politics is way too strenuous for your delicate constitution. He takes Will into the machine, wastes gobs of time babbling about taking over the universe with his super soldiers, then demonstrates the machine so we watch the whole process yet again. I haven't done this in a while, but it seems appropriate right now. Padding, 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 gotta add some padding. This show is too short, so let's pad. Establishing shots are longer, leaving you to ponder. When is the action gonna start? We'll add some pointless talking, scenes of people walking, 'cause runtime rules over every part. Add a scene, add a line, cut away, pad around, add a scene, add a line, padding! See a face, see a foot, see a rock, see a car, see the whole thing again, padding!
just as I told you. One of the great fighting men of history.
Why do they all look like you?
I told you I'm striving for perfection. Report to the stockade and stand guard over the prisoner.
What prisoner?
Take a wild guess, Will. Who's been missing this whole time? And who could most likely throw a big monkey wrench into Smith's grand plan? Will says, the robot is your friend.
Friend indeed. Alack and alas. One of the true curses of command. We leaders can have no friends.
I wonder what idiot told him. Oh, right. He's the only idiot who could have told him that.
I'm afraid that includes you too, William. Captain Smith! Here is another prisoner for your stockade, Captain Smith.
Naturally, Will takes the opportunity to repair the robot, and the two of them start formulating a plan to get out. John and Don have been trying to find the right cave without success.
Gentlemen, one moment, please. You will have no further need for your weapons. You are now in my protective custody.
The only threat here is you. You're going to take them into custody to protect them from yourself? John says, I'm going to make sure you stay confined to quarters until you tell me where Will and the robot are.
So sorry, Professor, but you are no longer in control here.
Look, I'm warning you, Smith.
Show Professor Robinson who's in command here now.
Brilliant, Smith. John can keep that thing busy while Don heads to the ship and grabs a couple of lasers. Next thing you know, you've brought a sword to a gunfight.
Get the destructor capsules. Hurry.
Or he can do that. The name is pretty self-explanatory, but how does a destructor capsule work? My mistake. John keeps that thing busy while Don heads to the ship and grabs a couple of destructor capsules. Next thing you know, you've brought a sword to a bomb fight. Smith always did go for flair over usefulness. Remember that outfit he bought himself from the cosmic vending machine? Now that we've proven a hand grenade beats a sword, let's have a little chat.
All right, Smith. Now what's this all about?
You're indeed fortunate, Major, that I'm a compassionate man. I could just as easily have ordered it to kill you.
Grab Smith, John. Offer to break his neck unless that thing puts the weapon down. No, as usual, he'll let him get away with it. Smith talks himself up a little, and then he and his pet whatever leave. Meanwhile, the robot is faking an illness, and when the guard comes close enough, the robot grabs him and Will runs away. It's a good thing these things have never seen Earth television, or he never would have fallen for that one. In the other room, Smith is building the perfect general to lead his army. He's giving it all the worst characteristics of the worst despots in Earth history, including such noble humanitarians as Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great.
There. Does that do it?
You have left out one important ingredient.
Yes, of course. The most important ingredient. My brain.
I see. So it has all those other characteristics, including the strength of Hercules, and with your brain, it'll be totally selfish and turn against you the first time it thinks there's an advantage to be gained. Might want to rethink that part.
Brilliant! I thought I had you safely under lock and key.
Don't have your guards stop me, Dr. Smith. I'm getting out of here. I just can't let you do this. I'm going back to the Jupiter and bringing Dad and Don back here to stop you.
Smith starts explaining all his delusions of grandeur and conquest and yada yada yada.
You've changed, Dr. Smith. You used to do some strange things in the past, but you were always my friend. Well, you're different now. This machine is taking you over.
Nonsense, my dear boy. Of course I'm still your friend.
Hold on, aren't you the same guy who told him this?
One of the true curses of command. We leaders can have no friends.
Now you say, of course I'm your friend. Stick around and I'll make you my chief advisor. Will says, I'll pass.
William, you can't. I cannot let
Let
you escape. William, no! Over here, get off this! Get off this sequence! Oh, heavens! What have I done? William!
At least that explains why Smith didn't just push that lump of dough off the belt earlier. Apparently it's coated with super glue. Of course, rather than run over to the main panel and try to shut things down, Smith stands there and whines like a lost puppy while the machine does whatever it's going to do to Will. what is it going to do to Will? Oh, that is just wrong. But the wrong is just getting started.
There is no further need for you. You will be destroyed.
I told you not to give it your brain. Turns out the machine was jerking him around the whole time. It needed him for one thing, to turn it on and start things moving again. Beyond that, this thing has a mind of its own and its own dreams of interstellar conquest. Needless to say, those dreams don't include an obviously inferior being like Dr. Smith.
But it's just a servile mechanism. It cannot give orders.
Can't it? Look what it can do to your hand. I will fix it. There.
Remember when he said this?
What possible harm could there be in pressing a little button?
There's the answer. You think he'll learn anything from this? Yeah, sure. Next machine they come across, he'll be like a 2-year-old looking with his hands. Once a frobber, always a frobber. At the ship, they're preparing for the onslaught of Smith's cyborg army.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, I'm beaten. Beaten. Something terrible has happened.
If that's your onslaught, you forgot something.
Where's my son?
Back at the cave. Something dreadful has happened to him. I think he's turned into a cyborg.
Dunn is ready to beat the information out of him, but Smith voluntarily tells them where the cave is, and away they go.
What a frightful mess I've made of everything. And all I wanted was to rule the universe.
All I wanted was to indulge myself with the ultimate expression of selfishness. Is that so wrong? As I write this, just a few days ago, an insane mob of anarchist crazies tried to destroy this country's entire government and install their own little tin dictator. This man is Dr. Smith in real life, the ultimate expression of selfishness and devotion to personal excess. He's also a cult leader. If you're one of his and you don't like being called a cultist, don't bother threatening me with unsubscribing or something. Just leave. I don't want you here. You are a cultist. One of these people partially breached the door and was a direct threat to a member of Congress. Police shot and killed her. They had no other choice. Meanwhile, these people who a few weeks ago were chanting, "Back the Blue," beat a policeman to death with a fire extinguisher. They want us to mourn the insurrectionist, but not the officer. This is what you get when you put a self-promoter in charge of things. This is exactly what the universe would get if a self-absorbed jerk like Smith was put in charge. America put a self-absorbed jerk in charge, and we saw the result in that mob. Will we ever learn? I wonder. I'm sorry, but in light of recent events, this episode is difficult to watch, even more difficult to poke fun at. The Destructor capsules are effective in getting rid of Smith's minions as long as they don't run out of them. Really, Smith? He's going to conquer the universe with cavalry, swords, and tomahawks. I see why the machine took over. I knew something was wrong. Why didn't they also bring their laser pistols? The capsules do the job, but a laser might do the same job from further away. Still, it's good to know the capsules are directional so they can destroy a cyborg without ruffling Don's hair or leaving any residue on his clothes. Remember what I said about the laser having a better range? Never mind. Don needs a moment to let his head stop ringing like Brian hits gong, so John goes ahead to look for Will. Civil War generals, Mongols, Roman soldiers, French musketeers. This is what Smith expected to conquer the universe with. I think he's forgotten everyone they've met over the past 2 seasons. For that matter, he may have forgotten that Earth has kind of progressed beyond those things too. But as I said, Smith always did prefer image over usefulness. John falls against the machine and it starts cranking out an endless supply of musketeers, all eager to run him through. You know, it seems to me at some point this thing has to run out of flour, or yeast, or salt, or something. Lucky for John, they're terrible swordsmen, so he's holding his own against them. Okay, maybe it did run out of something. Whatever it was, what do you say we don't put any more in?
Where's Will? I do not know. I've been looking all over for him. Will!
Is that you, son?
There's no longer a Will Robinson. I am now a useful cog in the vast, all-powerful mechanism.
We've never really heard what Will wants to be when he grows up, but I have a feeling useful cog with Dr. Smith's face wasn't one of his dreams.
We're getting out of here. Come on, son. Destroy this place. Come on.
No, you mustn't! You mustn't!
Officially, the robot doesn't have emotions, but I think he's going to enjoy this.
No, I mustn't leave!
Of course, as quick as the machine is destroyed, Will's face returns to normal. That's how it works out in space, though scientists haven't yet figured out why it doesn't work the same way here.
Here are your things. I think I packed them all. You can check if you like.
I trust you, Professor. I'm sure they're all here. But you can't be serious about this. You cannot send me out into the wilderness all alone.
Can't I?
John says, it wasn't enough that you almost got us all killed. You almost sentenced my son to eternity as a mindless cyborg. Smith says, it wasn't my fault. The machine took over my mind. You saw that, didn't you?
Yes, I saw. I saw how it would have enslaved him to a life of mindless eternity. I saw.
But I'm not to blame for that.
Yes, you are. If you hadn't been so greedy, so insanely desirous of power, Will would have never fallen into the clutches of that machine.
Right now, the idea of accountability is all over the internet, and I'm right there in the big fat middle calling for it. It would be nice to think that in the fictional world, Dr. Smith finally faces some as well. But we all know what's going to happen, even after this.
But I can change. I know I can. No, I'll never change. I'm afraid it's time for me to face up to the cold, hard facts about myself. Greedy, rapacious Zachary Smith. If ever there are riches or power or enormous glory to be had, I know I'll always endanger the lot of you to get my hands on them.
I can't tell if he means it or he's trying to do some kind of reverse psychology. Whatever it was, it didn't have any effect on John. He offers a few parting words and heads out. Like he didn't do that on purpose.
Smith!
Isn't that a deuteronium canister? Why would he want one of those? Anyway, John says, okay, one more chance. Smith starts babbling all about how much he'll change and all that stuff, and right now I could scream. Because there are those who want to do the same thing, just brush it all aside as though it never happened, forgive and forget. That's why Smith keeps doing the things he does, and why we will see this same kind of violence again if there isn't some accountability. That means arrests and prison. I don't care who they are or what office they hold. If they were complicit, they go behind bars. That is the only way we are ever going to heal from this, by removing the disease that caused it. Speaking of diseases, we're back to suffering from Smithitis. We've fallen into the same old rut. Smith, Will, and Robot do a thing. Smith screws it up, gets someone in trouble. Crew somehow gets out of trouble. Smith either says, I didn't do it, or promises to change. Rinse, repeat. I hoped for better this season, but we're not that far in. Hope springs eternal. I'll see you next time you find yourself lost in Irvingland.
If you enjoyed this episode, click the like button and let us know. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you always know what is happening, because something is always happening here at Irving Zoo. We make sure of it. We control his computer. Until next time.